agriculture is extraordinarily important to the U.S. and the world, not only because, of course, the food that's produced, it's the basis for what we eat, and our populations need to have food, but also it's very important in the U.S. It's an economic driver. When you think about agriculture writ large, when you think about agriculture in terms of the whole food supply and the manufacturing and the processing of food and the distribution and the stores, it's a very important component of our economy. The other aspect of agriculture that I think is somewhat underappreciated is the fact that in the U.S. it gives us some favorable balance of trade. So we export food and agricultural products. Is U.S. agriculture prepared to meet the demands? Probably not, and I think in part because we don't know what all those demands are. We have some estimates. We know that we want to have more food. We certainly want to have food that has better nutritional qualities. We want to have food that has production of food with much less of an environmental footprint. And I think that's a tremendous challenge. Less water, less agrochemicals. We also know that the climate is going to be changing. The climate's going to be changing in ways that really we don't quite know yet. So we're going to have varieties of crops that are resilient and flexible in their response to various climate changes, to various weather patterns. Well, I think research in many ways is one of the absolute necessary, probably not the sufficient, but certainly a necessary component for developing agriculture and for providing the basis for adapting to some of the challenges that U.S. agriculture and global agriculture will face in the future. We need to understand better how plants work, how animals work, how they are flexible in response to fluctuating environments. We need to understand the physiological, the biochemical pathways that allow that to happen. And once we have that kind of knowledge, then we have the opportunity to tweak that knowledge, to breathe that knowledge into varieties so that, in fact, we do have resilient, resistant, robust varieties of plants and animals. In order to really attract people to agriculture, to develop the research and the engine that really is going to drive new developments, agriculture has to be seen as an intellectually dynamic enterprise. We want to attract more of the best and the brightest to agriculture. We need to have programs that provide very outstanding fellowships, graduate fellowships, that will attract people who are ahead of their class. We have, of course, wonderful people that work in agriculture now, and some of the best in the world come to the U.S. to be trained in agriculture, but we need to have more. We have to have, there's a pipeline issue, and we need to provide stimulus to that pipeline. And likewise to the research enterprise. Many scientists, in fact, very reflexively look at opportunities for funding. And if there is a program where there's strong competitive funding, then you'll get very bright, you'll get very dedicated scientists going into that area. Well, I think when you look at global agriculture and the need to provide food security, to provide adequate nutrition to the developing world, to the whole world, that can only be done with international collaboration. You can't have a scientist sitting in St. Louis, Missouri, deciding what's best for someone who's in a small village in Kenya. There has to be the kind of collaboration and associations that allow free dialogue back and forth so that the science is informed by the reality and so that we understand what in fact is really needed. And you need to be able to have access to villages, you need to have access to the social structure, you need to really understand all of these things, and that can only come by collaboration.